Hi, my name is TJ. My dad died of overdose on January 1st, 2011, and my mom is a recovering addict. God helped my mom, and now together we are here to help you. Now let's talk recovery. Here's your host, my mom, Susan Sexton Wood.
Good evening and welcome to Let's Talk Recovery. No, you don't have to adjust your sets. I am not Susan Sexton Wood. I decided to take over the show. My name is Debbie Lahman and I am the president of the board for Unchained Praises. With us tonight, we have Mr. Dean Wood. And Dean is, of course, Susan's husband. And I thought that we would get the lowdown on Susan from Dean. And later on, in another broadcast, we'll be talking with Susan herself as well. We have her secluded in a room so that she does not know what is going on. At any rate, hey, Dean, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And TJ, glad to have you here helping me. You know I need a lot of help. Okay, there you go. Anyway, Dean, first of all, kind of tell us a little bit of your background.
Well, my background is that I used to be addicted to drugs.
Okay.
Want me to elaborate? Okay.
Well, unless you don't want to, you know.
No, I will. When I was younger, I just always tried to hang out with my brothers. And when I didn't get to, I started to hang out with the wrong crowd. And that's what introduced me into the drug scene. Because I just wanted to be a part of something. Mm-hmm. And that's basically what it was. And just trying to reach out for someone to hang out with. Mm-hmm. You know, I couldn't do it with my brothers. I got 3 older brothers. I really never could hang out with them. So I just started to figure out on my own what to do, but I took the wrong choice. You know, I came to that crossroads. Should I not? Well, I did it, and it kind of ruined my life.
How old were you?
I was, actually, I was 16.
16?
Yeah.
Okay. Prior to that time in your life, were you, did you have a good family life?
Well, I've had a somewhat family life. My father, my real dad, he left when I was like a month old. So I don't even really know him. I've only met him like 3 times, maybe 4 times in my entire life. My stepdad, he's the one that was always been there for me, but he was an over-road truck driver. And I couldn't hardly see him half the time because he was gone for weeks to sometimes months at a time. And we were living in California, and I couldn't wait for the summer because usually then I'd just go on the road with my dad, and I'd just stay gone the entire summer. And I enjoyed that. That was really nice. But other than that, home life, no, it wasn't very good because my mom, me and hers never really got along. We've always argued. It was just one problem after another, and I'm the baby of the family.
I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah, I'm just the youngest of them all, and black sheep, as people say it, but, you know, that's just...
So you were 16 years old. That's when you started your drugs. What did you start with?
The main reason I actually started getting into drugs is because I was 15 years old, and still bothers me, but I lost my grandfather, and he died in my arms. I was the only one there, and he was next to my stepdad, was the closest person to me. And he had a heart attack at my brother's wedding, and he ended up going to the hospital, and I guess they said that he had hospice, I think it was. There was no chance for him. And I guess that's when they brought him home in an ambulance. And I didn't expect no difference. I'm 15 years old. I don't realize what's going on.
Sure.
And so when they brought him home, they hooked him up to an oxygen tank, and, you know, he was laying in the living room, and the oxygen tube ran all the way down the hallway to the far back room where the tank was in his room. And every time you got to get up and go to the bathroom or something, you got to go through the hallway, step over it, and go in, right? So, and You know, I'm sitting there. I'm the only one. Everybody else done left. He's laying here. I'm sitting here in a chair, and I kept hearing him breathe heavy. And this is when I asked him if he was all right. He responded, yeah. And then a little later, it kept going, and he never responded. So I went over, and I can tell you, that was my downfall.
So that kind of started it at that
Yeah,
point.
because I blamed myself for many
Really?
years.
Really?
You know, because I could have stepped on his oxygen tube because I didn't realize what was going on because he died of lack of oxygen.
Okay.
You know, and
Yeah.
so
Okay, so now you've started. Tell me what happened once you started with the drugs, and where did that lead?
well, when I started doing the drugs, it started off just doing, marijuana. Then I ended up kind of liking it too much. Started to drink even more. And plus, I also got introduced to acid. So I used to take acid quite a bit. And, acid wasn't really getting a point, so I started to take it even more. So I started doing the eye drop kind, where I take it straight to my eyeball and gets me higher quicker. And, hallucinate and see all
Sure.
crazy stuff. And, it's fried a lot of my brain cells. Because it actually literally fries brain cells, and those are something we can't get back. But it's something I've struggled with for many years, is doing the drugs, because I don't know, I was lost. I felt like I lost everything to me, and my grandfather passed away in my arms. I was blaming myself for it, and for many years I believed my mother blamed me for it too, because she was really irate with me because of it.
Sure.
And we kind of even had more, bumping heads because of what happened. She kicked me out when I was 16 years old because I was too hard to handle. I used to get in trouble all the time. I mean, literally all the time. I would go to school and just get suspended because I didn't want to be there.
Now, you said that you initially started out with marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
And TJ, I know that you know friends probably, and maybe even some now, where do your friends and people that you know, and even older, do they think that there's nothing wrong with marijuana? Do you hear people say that?
No.
You don't hear it?
They don't. They don't talk anything. I mean, they talk about drugs, but not anything specific. Like they're gonna do this and that, but I don't really know them
Sure,
at
sure.
all. I tell people, but they still say it and whatever. So I don't know if they're just trying to act cool, or they're really doing it.
Well, I guess my question is that, and you've come across this too in the work that you do, within like the church and within Celebrate Recovery and the different, and even Unchained Praises, of course, that a lot of people, when they start out, they always say, oh, I started out with marijuana. And they think that that's okay, that's not going to. But
Well, that's not
I
true.
found that yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
That's not true at all, because marijuana, actually the gateway drug is alcohol.
Mm.
You start one, it's not working, so you want to try something else, and tobacco to me is
Sure.
another gateway, because it opens the doors for something
Sure.
else.
Sure.
So, but it's a drug that if you do it for a period of time, just like alcohol, the more you drink, the more your body gets immune to it. You can drink, and get nothing off of it, so it ain't doing nothing. And people don't understand that, but it is a problem. It's a big problem.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I think that that's something that kind of gets poo-pooed, if you will, thinking that, oh, it's no biggie.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate you saying that. So now you're into drugs. Where has that led you from that point after you're 16, you're kicked out? What was the next thing that happened?
Well, the next thing is that I'm out breaking the law, committing crimes. I was out, I've robbed, I've stole, I've done a lot of things to feed my habit, and I ended up in prison over each and every one of them, pretty much. Drugs led me to prison.
So most of the reasons that you were in prison
Is due to addiction.
was due to addiction.
Yes, it was.
Okay, and how long were you in prison?
A little over 20 years.
Straight?
The first one was only a few years, and then my second was 15 years flat.
Okay.
I got sentenced to 33 years, and I did 15.
Okay.
Then I got out. Didn't seem to change my ways. I wanted to, but it's like I'm stuck in a moment in time. I haven't really got to develop, because I spent majority of my, I didn't have a life out here. Half of my life has been behind bars, so in and out of the system. Becoming a product of the system, as what people say, because I had became institutionalized, because I depended on it for so long, and I still fight that issue today. To be honest with you, but being in prison kind of made me realize a lot of my life was due to the drugs, and I fought it for years because I was in straight denial. I didn't want to think that I had a problem.
So what turned around?
Well, actually, what turned me around was a friend of mine. Matter of fact, I got to meet him out here, and not too long ago. His name's John Kuhn, and he lives in Florida right now. Matter of fact, he's from Fort Wayne, but he ended up sitting me down and telling me, hey, you know what? Enough is enough. Because I was doing my time. I fell to the prison life. I didn't care. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to I felt like my life was over. Okay? I was just sitting in there just thinking about what I'm going to do for me. I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to do it however I want. And instead of realizing everybody else that I was hurting in the process of this. My mother, actually my brothers, my aunts and all of them, everybody. I took myself out of it, because when you're in addiction, you only think about yourself. You don't care about anybody else's feelings. You don't care about, actually, you don't even really care about your feelings. You want what you want when you want it. That's all there is to it. And, and I thought about it, and then, he was Native American. And I went to the Native American groups with him too. And he sat me down and told me, he also got me into school and started going to computer classes. He was the clerk back there, and he ended up getting me there. I ended up getting a 90-day time cut for it. Then after that, I went to Ball State, because at the time Ball State was there and Grace College was there. So I ended up going through there and getting my associate's and bachelor's degree. Then after I got that, I ended up coming home.
So what happened after you came home?
I drank. I started drinking again. I haven't done any drugs, to be honest with you, in a little over 15 years. I gave that up. But I came home. I started to drink more. Started hanging out with the wrong people again. Got hooked up with the wrong women. And we were drinking, hanging out, going to bars. And, one thing led to another. Then I ended up getting arrested again for a DUI and battery, stuff like that, because of drinking.
Sure.
And then I went back to jail again. Then got out, and I went back to jail again for another DUI. So it's been a chain reaction, one thing after another, because, trying to figure it out, what made it happen is because, I never made the personal choice to actually change it. Because everything we do is a personal choice. I don't really care what a lot of people think. A lot of people don't think it's a personal choice. Everything we do is a choice. I made the choice to keep on drinking. I didn't want to give it up. But what made me give it up this last time was my daughter. I was sitting in the county jail, and she came and seen me in the plate glass window, and that was enough. It's what it took. Obviously, I've been to rock bottom before, but obviously it wasn't bad enough.
Sure.
But it only takes one thing, and, she's the one. She's the reason why I quit. Enough is enough. I didn't want it no more, and I haven't touched it since, and it's been almost 3 years now.
Has there been any other change in your life?
Oh, yeah. I've changed. I got married. I got a beautiful son over here next to me right here. my beautiful wife. Matter of fact, you all know who she is. And, I got a good job now, thanks to godly people that's given somebody like me a shot.
So, you mentioned God.
Well, yeah.
How'd that come about?
Actually, I've always known God, but I always fought the idea of Him being there. Because, matter of fact, the reason why is because I was raised in a Catholic family. And another friend, my aunt, matter of fact, she was living in California, and she was supposed to be a religious fanatic, but she was in a religious cult. And she abused us, and she used to make us do things because it was the rule of the house, because that's what they said had to be done. And, it kind of threw me away from God, because I've never understood what God would allow something like that to ever happen. But I've always known God. I've always known Him to be there. And to be honest, me going through this time in prison and everything else that I've done, I didn't do it. I'm not the one that brought me through that. God is the one that brought me through that. And I can thank my lucky stars every day and thank God, because He's the one that did it. Or I could have died in prison numerous of times. But He's the one that saved me. He broke my chains and brought me out.
So was there a specific time when you realized you were a sinner and that you asked Jesus into
I've
your heart?
always known I was a sinner, but I just never cared. Mm-hmm. The time that I did care is, I'm sitting in my cell in lockdown, and it was after my friend was sitting there talking to me for a while, and he explained it to me, and I kind of fought him for, I don't know, a few years before I even gave into it. And he was telling me, hey, there's more than this. You can rot in here all you want. You can sit here and self-pity and think about yourself. But if you just stop and think about other things than yourself, you will realize that there's somebody knocking on your door. It's time for you to open it. And, well, my door was shut for a long time. Now, I finally opened it one day when I was in my cell after we were on lockdown for like 9 months. And I was in my cell, got a phone call. They took me up there to the captain's office, told me that my dad died. And then go back, I had to make a call Mom. And then a month later, my grandma died. And I'm on lockdown. I can't even go to the funerals. I can't do nothing. I had a lot of built-up frustration towards God and towards a lot of other people. And, I had, to be honest, really, I had revenge on my mind when I got out. Mm-hmm. I wanted to seek revenge for the people that got me in jail for the reason why I was in there was a bunch of lies. Stuff I didn't even do. But, it is what it is. And God is the one that took all that away from me, because I decided it was enough is enough. And I gave my life to God right there in that prison cell. Right there in the prison cell. I was leaned down and gave it to Him. Then I got out in 2008, and that's when Chad led me here. My brother
And
Chad.
Chad's your brother.
Yep.
Right. So you mentioned Susan.
Mm-hmm.
What don't we know about Susan?
I don't think there's anything you don't know about her. She's pretty open with herself. Pretty strong.
So what drew you to her?
What drew me to her was her beauty, the way she carries herself, the way she talks, the way she acts. Uh-huh. And I just love her for who she is and the strongness of it.
And how are you with Unchained Praises?
How am I with it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't really know much of it because I'm always working. I work my full-time job, and the only thing I hear about Unchained Praises a lot is what she talks about or the events we go to. And I think it's a very good thing. It's a wonderful thing because I know it helps a lot of people.
Right.
And it does help me, too, in the process because I know giving back is the most, precious thing we can do is giving back. It enlightens our soul because instead of taking, now it's time to give back.
You mentioned TJ earlier,
Mm-hmm.
Such a handsome young man that he is. And he's, yeah, he's kind of smoothing the hair there.
Yeah.
I think, TJ, how do you feel about Dean?
I'm trying to think.
Do what?
I don't know how to explain it.
When you're introducing somebody to him, what do you say?
This is the best dad in the world. His name is Dean. I call him Dad. Yeah. I mean, I don't do that. I just be all like, this is my dad.
Okay. And how's that changed since he's come into your life?
A lot. Because I used to just be like, I just went out like almost like every once a week. I just went out, did stuff, and came back. Some days there was weeks I was like that, but this time I get to go out and out because we only lived in apartments, so I couldn't go out and play. I didn't have like any friends except school.
Yeah.
But now I get to go out. I have tons of friends, but they don't come over, except 2. That's it.
Okay. So you think he's a pretty good guy then?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have a sister too, don't you?
Nope. Yeah.
I've seen you with your baby sister, and you're a good big brother. Well, Dean, when I said, what can you tell us about Susan? I'm sure that, as with anything, I know in my own personal life, when I had my own business, sometimes it was a little difficult for my husband, because it was my business. But I do believe that Unchained Praises, you've been a part of Unchained Praises.
Mm-hmm.
You have helped out, and you've been a big part of Unchained Praises. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, yeah, I enjoyed helping out with Unchained Praises. I enjoy getting up and talking in front of people and explaining my story to them because if it can help somebody, I'm more for it. Mm-hmm. Any way it can help someone. And see, she has the whole point of the addiction, and
Mm-hmm.
I have the whole point of recidivism because of being in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And, my thing is other people need to understand that, things can change. People can change. And a lot of people throw, like me, I'm being a felon. And it's hard for me to get jobs. And I've had the door shut in my face numerous of times. And I can, and I'm so blessed to even have the job I have today because, that's God-given. Plain and simple. It ain't me doing it. Because once I put myself in there, I'll fail. I have to stop trying to run something. I'm a strong man, and I'm very assertive with my words and things, but I got to stop and check myself before, anything else. If I don't, I will fall right back to the old ways real quick.
How do you see your family in the next 5 years in relation even to Unchained Praises?
Well, I can see us flourishing a lot further out than what we are. Mm-hmm. I know that we're in like 3 or 4 counties now. Mm-hmm. But I see us being further out in other states now. And I see, well, obviously she's doing pretty well for herself when it comes to doing this. She's done an excellent job. Mm-hmm. I can't say how proud I am for what she does. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of hard work on me too because I got to take up the extra slack.
Sure.
Well,
and it's a team. It's a teamwork.
It's a lot harder to deal with it, especially when you got 2 strong people. She's strong, I'm strong, and we clash a lot. But I wouldn't.
Really?
Oh, I still wouldn't give it up.
Really?
Yeah. But I still wouldn't give it up for nothing because I love her, and I love what she does for everybody.
How do you like TJ being involved in?
Actually, I really love him being involved in it because, coming from the eye of the young and seeing it, because today's generation, they need things like that to see that the ones in this generation are still being affected by the old generation. and
Sure.
and we are a product of our environments, and hopefully that him being a part of Unchained Praises and being a part of God and in his life, everything, he'll grow up being a well-respected individual.
Right. And how about you, TJ? Where do you see yourself in 5 years in relations to Unchained Praises?
Oh, I was going to be like,
Yeah, I was giving you a break there.
we would probably have to make the show at least an hour longer. Just kidding. Okay, so in 5 years from, I feel like my speech would be longer because I have more things that I'm going to think about in the past for the 5 years.
Right.
Also, there's going to be a lot, since I'm going to be working by then, there's going to be a lot of celebrations.
A lot of celebration.
Because we only bring chips and hot dogs to how it's going to be. Next is going to be cake,
You're talking about
cookies,
the events that
chips,
Unchained Praises
hot
has.
dog, burgers.
So you're going to make sure that the food is well taken care of. You're going to kick that up a notch.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear.
Right?
Because Unchained
Well-
Praises takes care of anything. There's going to be Unchained Praises man.
I would like to see, him getting up and singing a lot more.
Yeah.
I'd like to see, Trey and Derek, or my other stepsons getting up and doing the same, being a part
Yes.
of it. Because they can actually, they're very talented when it comes to that singing. I can't do it.
So you would,
That's not me.
sounds like in a sense, you want to see the whole family
Yeah, I would
to
love
be a
it.
part of that, including Miss Lyric.
Yeah, eventually I would love to see her do it if she can stop acting so shy all the time.
She
Oh,
should
she'll
be,
come out of her shell one
no,
of these days.
so like, I'm the regular singer. My brother's the rapper. She should be the opera.
She's going to do opera.
I'm just kidding.
Well, now there you go. She could be the next, Florence
could be.
Nightingale or whatever. No, I don't know who Florence Nightingale was. But anyway, I do, but I can't think of it. What is the one thing you would like to leave everybody with on Unchained Praises that you want the public to know?
What about myself? Or just
Whatever.
anything in general?
Probably.
Well,
I'm thinking,
one thing I would say is don't be afraid to get help.
Right.
Because there's more people out there that struggle with the same issues or same drug problems or any kind of habits that you have that, not one habit is just one person's habit. A lot of people have them,
Sure.
and there's out there, there's hope, there's people that's willing to give their time to show you and teach you that there's more out there.
Well, I want to thank Dean for sharing your story.
Sure do.
And thank you, TJ, for helping me. I want to
Still got
thank all of
plans
you
for
for
the
being
future.
a part tonight of visiting us with the Let's Talk Recovery. And I want to remind you that Unchained Praises has an office in Richmond, and we hope that you'll give us a call at the number on the screen, and we look forward to hearing from you, and may God bless you. And thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day.